If you want proof that family minimalism is life-changing, all you have to do is look at the beautiful mess behind me. And the reason that I'm calling it a beautiful mess is also the topic of today's video, which is the story of how we got rid of 95% of our stuff, accidentally became a minimalist family, and changed our lives forever in the process. Today I'm going to be sharing our real life before and after results from our decluttering and minimalism journey, as well as the one thing you never, ever want to do when you're trying to implement minimalism with kids. Let's dive in. Hi there and welcome to my channel. My name is Marissa and I'm the founder of A to Zen Life, where my number one mission is to help you conquer your clutter so that you can simplify your way to a happier, better, and richer life with less. And I think before we dive into today's topic, I need to explain why I called our messy living room a beautiful mess. And that's because when I look around at this mess, I don't feel anxious, I don't feel stressed out, and I don't feel overwhelmed by it, because I know that even when our home is in its absolute messiest state, I can still tidy it up and have it guest ready in under 30 minutes. Whereas before we became a minimalist family, I could clean for hours and hours and hours and still feel like I wasn't making a dent. So what is family minimalism? Well, minimalism means different things to different people. If you ask 10 different minimalists what minimalism is, you're very likely to get several different responses. To us, having a minimalist home doesn't mean having a home that's always clean. It means having a home that's easier to clean. And it's not about owning nothing, but rather making space for the things that matter the most to us and our family. And when you get rid of all of that excess clutter, it becomes so much easier to manage what's left, which in turn means that you can spend less time managing your stuff and more time actually living and enjoying your life. And a lot of people seem to think that minimalists are weirdos who wear all white and sit in empty rooms and meditate 24/7. Yes, some of us do those things, but we also do all the things that normal families do, like watch TV together, my kids play sports, we eat burgers and french fries and take vacations. In fact, yesterday was Halloween and we dressed up and we went trick-or-treating, and by the time that we got home, we were so exhausted after a long, fun day that my kids just took off their sweaty costumes and threw them on the floor because they could barely get to the bathtub to rinse off and go to bed. They were that tired. But today, it's so easy to clean up what I wasn't able to get to last night that it's basically done in a snap of my fingers. But it wasn't always this way for us. I'm gonna make an embarrassing admission here, which is that we never meant to become a minimalist family. To be honest, I didn't even know we were a minimalist family until well after we had extreme decluttered 95% of our stuff and moved to Europe with 8 suitcases. And so what happened was, at the end of 2019, I decided to start a YouTube channel to share my experiences about decluttering all of this sentimental clutter and how uplifting it was to finally do so after hoarding for so long. I'm not going to dive too much into the details about my story, but for those of you who are new around here, I will link it up here for you if you're not familiar with that. And as I shared our journey, the YouTube algorithm did its thing and started showing me other YouTube channels that were like mine, and I was like, oh my goodness, we are minimalists. That is what we are. But then I also realized that as a minimalist mom, I wasn't really resonating with a lot of the other minimalism channels that I was seeing, because a lot of them were young and single or young and married without children. And the way that they practiced minimalism was so different from my own. I wanted to show our side of minimalism that wasn't focused on the aesthetic aspect, but rather the lifestyle. And I wanted to use my minimalist YouTube channel to show that minimalism can be fun. You can have color in your wardrobe, and you don't have to feel guilty about letting your kids read comic books or watch TV. So if you're looking for a safe and non-judgmental space where you can join in and learn more about the joys of minimalist family living, make sure to go down and hit that little red subscribe button to join our minimalist family here on YouTube. I'll be looking forward to seeing you then. So now what I want to do is share some of our most surprising results from this before and after journey towards family minimalism. First, I'd like to talk about toys. Before, my kids had so many toys and they could never keep them clean, and they just had too many choices. They would just walk around, pick up a bucket of toys, dump it on the floor, and then not touch any of those toys and go walk to a different area and do the same thing over and just repeat that endlessly. Interestingly, studies have shown that children who have fewer toys actually play for longer periods of time and are more creative with how they play. And also, I just want to mention one concrete example that I've noticed where minimalism has really helped my children feel less anxious. So my oldest son used to grind his teeth, and this wasn't surprising to us because both my husband and I both grind our teeth. And the dentist said that there unfortunately wasn't anything that we could do at this age because he still has a lot of his baby teeth, and because his jaw is still developing, they say that if you give a night guard, it can actually stunt the jaw growth. But then after we have cleared the clutter, oh my gosh, it just got like really dark in here all of a sudden. But then after we cleared the clutter and settled into our new home, we realized that my son has completely stopped grinding his teeth at night. This kind of goes hand in hand with what studies have shown about how clutter increases cortisol levels, and it can manifest in stress, anxiety, feelings of overwhelm, which can result in physical, mental, and emotional side effects over time. Reducing the clutter in your home can really have a lot of noticeable benefits for you and your family. Now, as far as kids' clothing, we declutter clothing probably more than anything else in our home because, as I'm sure you know, kids grow like weeds and every season they need new clothes. And I have to say that my boys are very, very hard on their clothes. They are always crawling around on their hands and knees, rolling and climbing and wrestling and falling down. And before we became a minimalist family, I never gave too much thought about how much clothing they had or when I should buy new clothes. I just kind of bought things that I thought were cute. Now I'm much more intentional with my purchases, and I only buy things when they've either outgrown them or they need to be replaced because they've gotten stained or damaged or whatever. And I've really streamlined the process of decluttering our kids' clothing down to an art form. And another thing that we've done is make sure that the amount of clothing that they own stays within a set boundary, which is this converted kitchen cabinet to dresser that you see behind me. And the way that we've set it up is that Didi has this side and Guga has this side, and they share the top drawer, which is where we put their undergarments and socks. And I've also been teaching them how to help me hang and fold laundry so that they become more independent when it comes to taking care and managing their own clothes. I really feel that paper clutter was something that was harder for me personally than it was for my kids, because as a sentimental hoarder previously, I was saving like every single scrap of paper, every notebook, every piece of artwork, everything that I ever touched in college. And if you've never tackled paper clutter before, whoa, let me tell you, it is way more intense than I had expected. After we got through all of that initial paper clutter, we have a really nice system in place now to handle papers that come into our home. Incoming mail goes to my husband's desk where he sorts through it, pays the bills, and shreds documents once he's done, and he usually digitizes what's left. Receipts come to my desk, and once they land there, I am the one who enters them into the budget, which I have hanging right in front of me on the vision board / command center in my office. And when my kids bring home school stuff or artwork, we usually go through it together, and I ask them if it's something that they want to keep or if it's something they feel like they can get rid of. And 99% of the time, it's just stuff that they want to get rid of. If I find stuff laying around, like scraps of paper or used up arts and crafts that are no good anymore, I will usually just throw that away on my own. I'm sorry, I just couldn't help but laughing at how glamorous my minimalist mom life is, crawling around for scraps of paper underneath the dining room table. Hashtag mom life. But if I'm not sure about it, what I'll do is I'll pick it up and I'll put it in the clutter bucket that I have next to the desk in my office. And they know that they can always check back and recover things from there if they want. But 99% of the time, the artwork and paperwork isn't the stuff that they are wanting to hold on to. However, I do want you to know that my kids can get sentimental too, and they definitely get attached to certain things. Stuffed animals seem to be one of the biggest things that they get attached to, which I can totally understand because stuffed animals are just so freaking cute. When we took our trip recently to Valencia, Spain, both of my boys got a stuffed dolphin as the souvenir that they got to pick out because they wanted to remember their experience of the dolphin show. And they also have a memory box where they keep special mementos like baby blankets, travel souvenirs, and the teeth that they've lost. Yes, my kids chose to keep their teeth rather than giving them to the tooth fairy, and that is their decision to make, so of course I let them make it themselves. One of the most unexpected ways that minimalism has seeped into our daily life and routines is in family meal planning. Giving my family healthy and delicious meals while at the same time being frugal and saving money on food has always been a top priority for my husband and I, especially for my husband who grew up in third world poverty and sometimes would only get meat once or twice a year, or went for stretches of time where he would only get one meal per day. Eating good food and not wasting food is really important to us. Before we decluttered our home, I always felt rushed and short on time, and sometimes it was a struggle to cook the kinds of foods that I wanted to make for my family. So I would buy these miracle products that was like Instant Pots or slow cookers that gave me all of these promises that they were going to make my life better and more convenient. But then a lot of times after 1 or 2 attempts, I knew that they were something that I didn't really like. And so they just sat there in my cabinets, taking up space, making me feel guilty every time I look at them. And so letting go of appliances that I didn't use has freed up a lot of mental space as well as cabinet space. And I also stopped buying ingredients to make new recipes if I know it's an ingredient that we are unlikely to want to put into regular rotation. I do use a meal planning sheet which is available in my printables shop, and it's also part of my complete 50-page minimalist budget bundles system, along with the budget tracker printable that I mentioned in the previous section about paper clutter, which you saw hanging on my command center. Planning meals ahead of time also helps us cut back on food waste, which isn't only good for us, it's good for the environment and for our wallets. One study found that the average US household wastes 31.9% of its food, which adds up to being around $1,866 each year. I mean, can you imagine just taking $2,000 and throwing it in the trash can? Because that's what a lot of families are doing. I know you guys have been asking me to share a what I eat in a day video, and I do have that on my to-do list. I will tell you one of the easiest ways to reuse leftovers is to just make a stir fry out of it. I mean, almost anything can be made into a stir fry. That's my pro meal planning tip for today. Okay. I need you to listen to me because this is super important. And I'm not just telling you this as a minimalist mom, but also as a former speech language pathologist who has studied and provided cognitive, behavioral, and communicative therapy to children. And that is to never, ever, under any circumstances, make decluttering seen as a punishment. Do not threaten to get rid of your kids' stuff if they are bad. And don't tell them things like, we are going to be a minimalist family whether you like it or not. If you lead with threats and emotions like fear, what you are telling your children is that getting rid of stuff is bad. Minimalism is scary. Instead of what you want to be doing, which is focusing on the positive aspects. So lead by example and start by decluttering your stuff first and let them watch and help you. And if you want to know more decluttering mistakes to avoid, if you want to successfully become a minimalist family, make sure to go check out this video. Or you can also check out this blog post that I will link down in the description box below for you with all of the pros and cons and benefits and best tips for becoming a minimalist family. Until next week, I'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.